The Walking Dead No Sanctuary is based on the TV series where a group of people must survive in a world filled with walkers, which is another word for zombies. There's so much to this game. I'll keep things as short and simple as possible. I won't explain how the expansions add to the game, but I will talk about them at the end to let you know if they're worth buying. The setup is bonkers. The main things are to take the scenario on group sheets, map tiles, survivor sheets, survivors, decks, walkers, event and search decks, and anything else specific for that scenario. The scenario sheets tell you the name of the scenario and its objectives, as well as how to set up all the decks and characters. Use a mini to mark your objective. Lock the others. The group sheet shows your morale, which is important. If your group's morale is 0, you lose. Some scenarios have different rules here. Threat shows how many walkers come out. Special walkers come out if the threat reaches a red box. The spaces below hold your food, ammo, and barrier materials. You also put the event card here so players can see and try to complete its action. The survivor sheets show your character and ability and have spaces to track your stress tokens. Stress add black dice to your rolls, and that is not a good thing. You also have an attack, coordinate, and interact number, which shows you how many dice to roll for that action. The event decks are colored red, yellow, and green. The leader will pick one to neglect, result in the neglect section. The other goes on your group sheet. Survivors that play a card that matches the color are compliant. If the color doesn't match, they are defiant. If the leader is defiant, they lose a trust token. The leader gains a stress token for every other survivor who is defiant. Any player that fulfills the event card's ability places their survivor token on the card. If there is at least one survivor token on the card during the event phase, the leader suffers a stress. The white dice are your action dice. Check marks are successes. Eyes mean focus, which give you tokens you can turn into successes later. And the drops are exert, which are treated as a success if the symbol in the top left of your played card matches your action. The black dice are your stress dice. The blank sides do nothing. The lightning adds threat, and the skull triggers the fear text on your played card. The search decks are usually helpful, but some cards add stress or even walkers. The scenario sheet tells you how to add objective cards. In the planning phase, each player will draw a card. The leader will draw 2 event cards, neglecting one and playing the other. The neglect effect results immediately. In the survivor phase, starting with the leader, players take their turns. Play a card, then do a maneuver or an action. Maneuvers let you move 2 spaces or stand if you've been knocked down. Hide to reduce threat or discard stress, gain a focus, or use a resource. Actions can be either the one on the played card, or grapple to knock down enemies, searching through the search cards, or assist, which helps you and your allies. Roll dice to see if you're successful and resolve. In the walker phase, walkers move and you'll place new ones depending on the threat level. In the objective phase, you'll check to see if you've completed an objective. The leader may pass the leader token to the left by discarding a trust. If the leader has 3 stress, they must pass the token. Survive to the final objective, and you win. Play cards, take actions to complete objectives, and survive. That's The Walking Dead No Sanctuary. This game is huge. Our dining room table is around 7 feet by 3.5 feet, and we need 2/3 of it when this hits the table. Players will need to be strong readers and be good at decision making. I'm 8, and some kids my age will have no problems with this game. You know your family best, but I would guess most kids will be better at this one once they're 10 or older. Despite the theme, the game isn't especially gory or violent. I was a bit surprised myself. Setup is long, close to 10 minutes. Takedown isn't as bad. The game, depending on luck in the scenario, could last 1 to 3 hours. People with analysis paralysis, or AP, meaning they freeze and are unable to make any decision will make this game drag. Play on weekends. We played the outlaw scenario with our friend Ariel. Dad was the governor and grabbed items and kept guys from getting too close to our group. My Daryl, Mom's Maggie, went for the objective, and Ariel's T-Dog handled crowd control. It was a breeze. Then we found ourselves surrounded and overwhelmed, and our decks were getting thin. T-Dog managed to unlock the final objective, clearing the rivals from the board. It was close, too close, but we won on the next turn. There are a billion components, and they're not great. The minis range from quite good to the governor. The store version doesn't have minis. I'll talk about that more at the end. Everything gets the job done, but it feels like Cryptozoic cut a lot of corners. They only included one reference card in a multiplayer game. Ridiculous. Coordinate and interact are in a different order than on the player sheets. Ridiculous. The player and scenario sheets are thin too. Cardstock would have been nice. Depending on how threat is managed and how cards and walkers come out, the game can sometimes be super hard or easy. If this happens during the Days Gone By expansion scenario, the game is boring for the walker player. I played once where I only had a few to control all game. Another time, Dad managed to get dozens out onto the board. It'll all balance out after many plays, but know that this can happen. With that said, I love that you can play survivors and walkers. It's easy to play as the walkers in other scenarios. It takes a bit more work to play as the strangers outside of Days Gone By, but you can do it. One of my favorite mechanisms is variable player powers. The characters are all different, and some may be amazing in one scenario, but not as helpful in another. Some survivor abilities fit better together than others. Depending on the special walkers you use and if you add rivals and strangers, the difficulty can be as hard as you want it to be. The decision making in this game is so good. Every choice, from the leader's event cards to the other survivor's decision to comply and whether to follow your card or your basic actions and maneuvers, plays a role in you winning or losing. This is especially true if you use allies, 3 exerts, and the game. These systems are genius, especially tying the deck into your character's life. So smart. If The Walking Dead No Sanctuary was published by Fantasy Flight Games or Blacklist Games, this might be a top 5 game for me. As it is, it's top 10. I love the variable scenarios and players, the scaling difficulty, the stories, pretty much everything. There is no getting around the luck. I mentioned that you can mitigate some of it, and even though it's thematic, you'll need to deal with it. Heavy Eurogamers and those who only play party games should skip this. If you hate co-op games, this will not change your mind. On the other hand, if you want a tense game where resources are scarce, survival depends on hand management and cooperation, and every game tells a story, pick up The Walking Dead No Sanctuary. That's the end of my review, but there is one big issue. There are 2 versions of the base game. The Kickstarter edition has minis and a handful of extras. The one at stores has standees, which isn't a big deal, but the expansions have minis, meaning they don't fit together nicely. As for those expansions, what lies ahead and Killer Within add more survivors, rivals, special walkers, and scenarios, along with new rules. I recommend both. Ride Daryl just replaces some cards from the regular Daryl deck. Lori is a full survivor and could be one to track down. Stuff and Things and Iconic Civilians both replace generic bits with minis from the show. Better Angels is a player versus player scenario and puts Rick against... I won't spoil that, but it's fun. I mentioned Days Gone By a few times. It should have been included in the base game instead of a Kickstarter exclusive. Walk With Me and Clear are also quite good, but I tracked down some of the others first. There are also a ton of exclusive stretch goals. Some are better than others. We have seen some complete packages on eBay and BoardGameGeek. Normally, I would never do this. You should never feel like you have to have something. Games are just things. If you can't afford it and this looks like one your family will enjoy, the Kickstarter edition with all the expansions might be the best choice in terms of total value. If the complete set isn't an option, the store version will still be a good time. Finally, if the gameplay looks great to you but you're not sold, I'm going to review Street Master soon. It's by the same designers but with an old school video game theme and by a different publisher. Thanks for watching. Happy gaming!